Welcome to the Make Each Click Count podcast. This is your host, Andy Splichal. We are happy to welcome this week's guest to discuss today's topic, which is using digital marketing to separate from your competition. Today's guest is the co-founder of Oddit. Oddit offers simple solutions for direct-to-consumer brands looking to boost conversion and strengthen brand loyalty. A big welcome to Shaun Brandt. Hi, Shaun.
Hey, Andy. How you doing?
I'm great. So let's jump right in with website optimization. I'm curious, what made you decide to focus on that specific field?
That's a good question. So I started out in 2010. I started my first agency, and at that time we were that's when apps were coming a big thing, and I started getting into designing. Kind of started out doing just general web design, then got into building sites, then got into designing and building apps, and scaled that over almost a decade, and became a fairly large team of over 100 building applications. And over that decade got very burnt out by the agency model. You're constantly just trying to up a customer's retainer and selling them stuff they don't need, and I just kind of got exhausted of it. Wasn't really doing design anymore, was more doing client management. And took a few years off, got into consulting, just kind of private consulting with clients one-to-one, and ended up doing some advisory work for a performance marketing agency, working with customers kind of in the 50 to 500K a month ad spend range, Facebook, TikTok, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And was really just advising on helping scale the agency side of things and how to do that from a personnel standpoint, all that fun stuff. And as a UX designer and a product designer, it really just caught me off guard, not having ever been in conversion optimization or conversion rate space, to see a performance marketing firm spending that much money on ads every month, or the brand spending that much ad money every month, and then spending 1/100th of it on the site. Because to me, as a UX designer, I'm like, okay, well, that click is amazing. Like, I obviously want the customer to click that ad, but that's step 1 of 10, right? The other 9 steps are on their website. And so for me as a product designer, I'm like, am I just on crazy? Like, am I missing something? Why are we spending so much money on ads and so little on the website? They build the website, some agency charges them 300K, and then they, boom, beautiful, great. We got a new website. It's awesome. Let's start running traffic. And that mentality to me was just so weird. So we started doing audit reports just as like a kind of a la carte item for these customers,
Mm-hmm.
not branded under audit. And just to help them fix their UX, because it was just so crazy to me that they weren't working on it. And it just started increasing their conversion rates. And to be frank with you, that's when I discovered what CRO stood for. I didn't even know what CRO acronym stood for before that. And that's kind of how Oddit was born. Saw the need for it through that and saw the results, and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, no, interesting. I see all too often where customers or clients are always spending on customer acquisition, and they want to know what is the newest marketing channel, where can I get more traffic? But very seldom, or I guess fractionally, do they spend on their website. What, in your experience, do you see companies typically spending on customer acquisition, their different marketing, versus improving conversion rates on their own website?
When we end up talking to people, most of our customers have already been spending on ad dollars on, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, email, whatever, in the 6-figure range before they even consider investing in CRO. So 100K plus their agency fees in ad spend before they even start interviewing a CRO agency for 5K, right? And we're not a CRO agency. We do one-off reports to help, our customers increase their conversion rate through UX changes. But to me, that most of what we're seeing, it's 5% of what they're spending on ads and their agency, maybe even less, that they're actually spending on their UX, their website.
You made a great point. So you said most companies that come to you are spending 6 figures before they even consider a month, before they even consider optimizing their website.
Yeah, and it honestly, it's the way that the digital, at least when I say digital, I'm talking just the digital agency space of building websites, it's over the last 2 decades, all it really has been about is, and I've sat in a lot of pitches for a lot of different agencies. They're strictly pitching to the customer about, making sure the CEO likes how it looks.
Mhm.
Never heard conversion rate come up in an agency pitch in my life when they're pitching a website design, ever. And I've probably sat in, 1,000 of them. Like, no matter how big, I've sat in big New York agencies, none of them building a $500,000 website have mentioned the acronym CRO or conversion rate, or what's this actually going to do for our site. It's just, do you like how it looks? Is it on brand? Oh, I love that little detail. Like, that's the whole conversation. And that's what drove me away from that space, is it's all smoke and mirrors and wasted money. To
Yeah.
me, fuck, get a free Shopify template and hire a CRO agency. You'll be way better off. Once you get all those learnings about what works, what's working for your brand, what are the conversion elements on your site that are working for you when you drive that ad traffic in, take all those learnings and then go invest it in a $300,000 e-com custom site and give that agency all those learnings, because they're not doing any research. They're just,
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point. And you got to remember, as a store owner, who you are designing it for. You're not designing it for yourself, or well, you shouldn't be, or as an ego boost to say I have this great looking website, but you need to be
exactly.
designing it for your customers and knowing who your customers are. So give the listener some quick wins. I mean, what are some things that they should be looking at when considering how they could improve their conversion rates?
I think the biggest quick win that I can give them, and this has honestly nothing to do with getting an audit or doing even conversion optimization, A/B testing, stuff like that, is their site speed. I think one of the downsides to how robust the Shopify ecosystem has become,
Mhm.
there's so many applications and so many options for each application and plugin that the store, they've just made it so easy to install these things. So stores are just like 12, 15, 20 apps, plugins. It's all just like there, right? And there's some great functionality there, things that are going to increase conversion. But the one negative about most of them is there's every time you add one, they're slowing your site down. And site speed, although it's not sexy, is the biggest factor playing into your conversion rate, right? And most founders we talk to about that, they're just like, oh no, site load's fine for me. And that's not the point. Obviously, if you're sitting in your fiber optic office, yeah, your site load's fine. And the thing that they don't consider is that when someone clicks on an ad, you're talking milliseconds, you've got their attention. If that site doesn't load instantly, there's a chance they're gone. And that's where conversion drops. It's not that the site as they're going through it is lagging, and that's got nothing to do with it. It's when they're waiting for it, when they clicked on an ad, because they're not a motivated buyer yet. They just clicked on an ad, or maybe they accidentally clicked on an ad. And if that site doesn't load like this, they're gone. And so a lot of our customers, they just use that, amazing Shopify ecosystem and just add all these apps. And then even when you remove them, there's JavaScript left over and just pieces of code that are just, it's just added nothing weight. There's no point of it. So I think the biggest quick one I can give, long-winded way of saying, is just always be doing code cleanup, making sure that the store is as lean as possible. I'm not saying don't download and install apps and plugins that are going to help you make sales, but you just have to be very conscious of it and careful, and keep an eye on that site speed and your site performance as you do it.
What do you use to measure site speed? Do you use the Google developer tool, the page speed test, or do you have something more robust?
We look at multiple. So like Shopify offers a version of it. Google, like you said, page speed insights is one, GT metrics is another. They're all going to give you a little different score. The main thing, honestly, for most customers, unless you're a huge brand that's like dialing in every single detail and spending a ton of money on it, if you just go to Google page speed insights and put in your domain, there's going to be 100 things it's going to list. Those first 5 are going to get you 95% of the way there, right? So it can be a daunting task. It can also be a very simple task if you ignore all the bullshit and all the clutter below that and just focus on, when it shows you the issues you're having, grab those top 5 that are probably all the problems and just get those done, right? All of them are going to say the same thing in terms of what's wrong with it. They might just give a different score, But if you're just pulling in those top 3 or 5 things that are the issue, you'll fix most of your problems.
So you fix site speed. I guess when you first audit a website, do you have a list of important conversion elements you're looking for? I mean, where do you go when you first come across a website and you're doing an audit?
There's definitely a kind of side of desk list of things that are, do they have, this, but it more so it's about as let's just say I'm landing on the site cold, right? I don't know what they make. That's how we try and approach every project is if I land on this site, do I understand what they sell? Do I understand what makes it unique? And do I have easy access to get to it to buy it? Those are the 3 main things, right? And so many customers come to us with problems on conversion and they're driving traffic to their homepage or wherever. And the biggest issue is that they're using their favorite brands as benchmarks, right? They're using their favorite shoe brand as the reference, or this Fortune 500 company as a reference, because they think big brands do it right. They invest in stuff. How is this not the right way? And the biggest issue with that is those brands can get away with anything because of how much brand equity they have. So Nike can say, just do it, and people will buy shoes, even though they have no idea what the hell just do it means. You can't do that because you don't have the brand equity. Most 99% of Shopify stores don't have any brand equity. They don't have, there's no such thing as them being a household name anywhere. And so you have to speak extremely clearly, tell the user exactly what you make, exactly what makes it important or special or unique, and tell them exactly what your current customers love about it. You don't see that on Fortune 500 sites because they don't need to do it. And so benchmarking against those is just in my opinion, a horrible idea. But that's probably the biggest thing is clarity, right? When we look at a website for the first time, we're looking for clarity. Is this brand explaining what they do, what makes it great, what people love about it clearly?
I mean, I think you just answered my next question. I usually ask what makes a company successful in digital marketing space, and I think you just answered clarity. But is there anything beyond that?
I think when it comes to digital marketing and going from that, 1, 2, 3 step through that click an ad, get to the site, purchase. Clarity is definitely the answer still, but it is more so like if let's just say every user that lands on the site, 99.9% of the traffic is from paid ads campaigns, which some of our customers are. And the ad is always saying what you do, what makes it great, things that I'm saying. If the ad is always saying that and the customers are always coming from that ad, your site can be more lenient, right? Your site can be more flexible because they're coming from an ad that told them what you do. So you can be more marketing jargon focused when they get there. So it's really clarity on that funnel, right? Like, is the ad telling the start of the story? If it's not, make sure the site tells the start of the story. And just always be conscious of that, right? As you grow, you're probably gonna get more organic traffic, and it's slowly gonna become more balanced of organic and paid. And then your site does need to tell the story no matter what. So it's just always being conscious of that. And to your point, clarity.
So during COVID, I mean, it's no secret. I mean, e-commerce changed.
Yeah.
It accelerated to a huge level. I mean, people got comfortable ordering. Some people that weren't comfortable before are now more comfortable ordering from home. Some people don't even go to the store anymore. They're just got used to ordering online and like the convenience.
Yeah.
Where do you see e-commerce going over the next 12 to 18 months?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think we're going to see some really unique stuff in the ad space and marketing space simply due to artificial intelligence and the role it's starting to play, where you can almost start to generate creative without art direction, without photographer, without any, like you don't even need the products. You can start to create your ads based on that and probably be seeing a lot more different ads running at the same time in terms of testing what's working and what's not. Same thing with the actual copywriting of ad strategies. In terms of storefronts, I think we're going to see a lot of the same thing, whether it's through customer service, chat on site, helping people get to the right product and find their way through the site. I think we're going to see AI start to play more and more and more of a role there. maybe not within 12 to 18 months, but we'll start to see it, I think. And then same with on the product front. I think the one thing that we've seen probably the most over COVID is that Shopify's ability to create stores really quickly, like giving customers the ability to create stores quickly is step one. But the ecosystem of creating a brand and a product has also become really accessible, right? It's become really easy to find suppliers and 3PL and packaging people and branding people, and all of these things have become easier. I don't mean that in like that's an easy thing to do, but I can get branding through an AI bot. I can get branding through Fiverr in a week. I can get branding through $100,000. There's so many options for every piece of building a product and a brand now, including the site. And so I think we're just going to see an insane amount of crap out there of just because it's so easy to launch now. You can find a product that's doing well on Amazon and doesn't have a great D2C presence yet and spin it up in 4 weeks and getting ads. And not to say, I'm not downplaying how hard it is to run a business. I'm just saying it's become so easy to do so now, and accessibility to all this has become just so low hanging that to me, we're just going to see so much more competition, but not in a good way. I think it's going to be a lot of crap, and it's going to become really hard for consumers to filter through it and figure out which ones are actually good products and which ones are just fly by night. They'll be around 12 months and then the store will just be gone.
Yeah, I'm curious about the AI perspective. We've been using it with our agency on writing product descriptions for Amazon,
Yeah.
and really using keywords and merging that in. I mean, it's so much quicker than a copywriter, or you just couldn't do what you could do with AI.
Yeah.
On the Amazon advertising side. How are you using it as far as conversion optimization on a website? Is it the product descriptions? I mean, how are you using it?
So how we've just started, I mean, our team is using it in copywriting like every other company, as little tests and helpers, but how we've started to explore how it can really change our business is in helping us reference back a lot of our recommendations to data trends and things that are happening. So when we make a UX change to someone's navigation, for instance, and we want to test or see, well, where can we prove this? We can go cross-reference using ChatGPT with Baymard Institute and find 1,000 tests of what happened in the same scenario with the mobile navigation and validate what we're recommending. There's a lot of ways that we're working on plugging that into our entire kind of design system and how we approach analyzing websites. We're also seeing tools pop up that just scan your website and deliver conversion ideas, right? Is it game changing yet? No, but I think we're probably not that far off from just putting in your domain and your credit card for $100 and it spits out an audit report. I think we're not that far, not us, but I'm saying, companies out there that are really investing in AI, I don't think we're that far off from seeing that.
Yeah. You made an interesting point there again, is it seems that AI right now, you almost have to be cross-referencing it to something. I know for keywords, we use, we have keyword tools that we use, and then we cross-reference.
Yeah.
And you're using a cross-reference to make it effective. So it's not quite the magic box of typing it in and getting a result yet, but it sure is getting there.
Yeah, no, I think we'll probably see two phases of how AI affects this space. And the first will be companies that are hiring agencies that are using it well, right? They're putting their trust in agencies that are being very upfront with the fact that, hey, we're keeping your costs down by removing all of our bloating and employees, and we're going to use AI for some of this. And then the second phase will be the tools will evolve to a point where you won't hire an agency. You'll just have AI tools integrated into your own ecosystem and you'll fire your agency. We're probably a long way from doing that, but for now, it's really just finding an agency partner or partners for any part of your business that are using it in a way that you feel is effective.
So let me ask you, I mean, you have a lot of experience, you've built agencies, grown agencies. How has there been any books out there that you could attribute to your success and growth?
I would say the only one that I always come back to, and I've actually, one of the few books that I've read multiple times, is when I was first getting started, was right when Basecamp was becoming a big thing, which Basecamp, anyone listening is not familiar with, is kind of like one of the first project management tools that really had a focus on UI, UX, and made it just easier for teams to collaborate.
Mhm.
And it was designed by a company called 37 Signals. And the founder there, Jason Fried, I think it's Fried, not Fried. Jason Fried is just a really smart guy. And he wrote a book called Rework. And it's really kind of a playbook on how to just keep it simple when you're thinking about starting a business. And when you're going through that first year of business, just not being so stressed out and not focusing on all these little fine details that really don't matter. Once you're 5 years in and you look back, you're like, oh man, none of that mattered. And so it's just a really great kind of, in my opinion, entrepreneur's Bible of helping you keep things simple and not overthinking things when you're starting out. And it's written in a way that, you could probably read it in a day if you had to. Like, every page is pretty simple and short. It's really to the point. So I can't recommend it enough for entrepreneurs starting out.
Great. So let's flip and talk about your agency now, your current one. How long have you been around? What services are you offering? And how does it help increase conversion for your clients?
Yeah, so I mean, Oddit as a company, we don't consider it an agency. We actually consider ourselves an anti-agency. The reason for that is that we don't do ongoing engagements. We don't allow customer feedback loops. We don't actually allow customer input, which is pretty much the exact opposite of how we ran our agencies. Part of that is we wanted, it was beneficial to us. We didn't want to deal with clients anymore. But part of it was we saw a huge trend in the agency space where most of the things coming out of companies, coming out of agencies from an end product were whatever the client wanted. And in most cases, that's not the actual right answer, right? Finding out, getting feedback from a leadership team of a company to change aspects of the UX that had nothing to do with actual conversion rates and more to do with, the CEO likes the color yellow, whatever, just has no value to a company. So we've kind of pushed back on that model and, basically you either listen to us or we don't want to work with you. If you're not willing to just let us go wild and do whatever we want, we don't take on the project. We don't do the audit. So from an agency standpoint, it's tough for me to call us that word, but we do work with clients, about 30 to 40 clients a month right now. We essentially, what our service does is we go in, we red mark up your website. So team goes through, mark off everything in terms of here's what we think needs to change, here's why, here's what it should look like from a UX standpoint to increase conversion rate. We then deliver that in what can be a 60-page report showing the before and after of the site, explaining all the rationale of why we made the changes. And then we deliver also the design files for everything. So the main big difference between how
are you implementing the changes as well, or is it just the recommendations?
Strictly recommendations and design. Again, more of a personal choice than a business decision. The second that we would get into development, it would have to be ongoing engagement. And we really want to keep our product as succinct and simple as possible. So we have really great partnerships with development partners for Shopify for every different platform. Same with A/B testing. We have great partners for more traditional CRO and A/B testing that we introduce our clients to. I would say the main change in the deliverable from us to an agency is that when we deliver a design and you get your audit report back, you're effectively going to see a brand new website in that design. The difference is that we actually recommend you don't change it all overnight. We recommend and we position it and we show it to you. Pick your pieces, pick which sections are most important to you, implement them over time. If you have the traffic, A/B test the changes. If you don't have the traffic, just be careful, right? Like, not every company has 100,000 unique users who want to be A/B testing every change. So be mindful. Don't change your website overnight. Don't just flip a switch and redo the whole thing. So the approach and the output to most customers feels like an agency engagement, but it is quite different from a, day-to-day functionally. Obviously, they don't get any input, but the output as well and how we position it is quite different.
So, I mean, I think so. You get an audit, but it's a one-time project with you. You deliver your deliverable, and then you're done.
Then we're done. We do have a ton of returning customers, so we
Yeah.
have pretty great rapport with our customers and relationships.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my next step is how are you able to track your success?
Yeah, and honestly, it's again something I've learned from my, just doing it for so long in the agency space is, and kind of how we took this approach was most agencies find success without ever having any proof. They launch the website, they don't really track any metrics. Some other agency does that, and that's their job, and how their success is measured. So how we actually measure success is strictly customer feedback and return customers and refunds. We have a full money back guarantee policy. If you're not satisfied with the end product, we just give your money back. We're done 5,700 audits now, and we've had 5 refunds. So it's a really high success rate from that standpoint. And, in some cases, that's customers having crazy conversion rate changes, right? Like I had a customer call yesterday and their conversion went from 2 to 5%. So 150% increase after doing their audit. And then we've had customers that don't see a move, or they see a fraction, a percent move. But they're so happy with the value of the report, the education within the report, because it's a much different output than a site redesign. We're actually explaining every change, the mindset behind it, why it makes sense, or why we think it makes sense. And so a lot of our customers look at these reports as education for their own team, right? So that when they're making a new landing page or they're changing something on their site, they're just thinking of it a little bit differently because we've explained it in a very specific way.
How many people follow through and implement everything that you recommend?
That's a great question. I wish I had the answer to. There's too many customers and we are such a small team that we don't act like we're not going in checking on every customer site being like, oh, what did they change? What did they not change? And sadly, that's part of how we keep our fees down quite low is we don't do any account management. But I would say that 1 of every 2 reports that goes out, they change everything, like every recommendation we made. Most of them over time, right? So like I have customers, we started 2 years ago. We have customers that are still now testing things that we recommended, right? And they're just doing it slowly over time. And then we have customers that change the whole site overnight, even though we recommend not to. And then the other half, I would say, pick and choose, right? Some of the brands we deal with are really big brands. So like, when we do an audit for Buck Mason, there's a very specific aesthetic, they have an entire marketing team, design team. So when they see us pitch them 70 changes, they're going through that in meetings and yeah, this one makes sense, scrap that one, right? They probably pick and choose 20% of them. And again, that's the beauty of how we present these things. It's not like you have to do them all, right? It's positioned like all these little things are going to have an effect, some more, some less. But again, our main goal is to get the customer thinking differently about how they approach these things.
And how do you charge? Is it one price for all? Is it based on the size of what is the pages on the website? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so we have 2 ways of charging. One is by section. So we have what's called a quick win 10 pack, where you just let our team go in and we pick out 10 sections of the site that we think are the lowest hanging fruit that are going to help conversion. So section, for example, would be your homepage header or your mobile navigation or your cart. Those are each a section. So there'd be 10 of those. And then the more robust full report is you pick pages. So I want you to look at my homepage, my product page, and my collections page. We do not look at every page on the site ever. We look at conversion focused pages like those, and we look at the template of them. So if you have 100 products or 1 product, we're only looking at the product page template, not all your products. And in that case, we charge per page. So you can buy a 1-page audit report, 2-page, 3-page speaking pages on the site, not the report output. We've had customers, we have 1 customer that's bought 16 pages of their site now, right? They just
Mhm.
keep back and adding pages. And in that sense, we have kind of an ongoing engagement, but yeah, we have a lot of return customers that buy 1 or 2 pages and they're like, they're blown away. So every time they launch a landing page, we audit it. Every time they launch a campaign, we go through it.
And what's the pricing for those 2 different programs?
So the 10 pack is $16.50. The output is, all those sections redesigned and, roughly a 25-page report. And then the full reports start at $2,800 for a 2-page report. So most customers, they buy homepage and product page. And then it's $750 per page after that. So if you want to add your quiz flow, or you want to add a subscription page or whatever, it's just $750 every page you add.
And I didn't hear you mention cart. Do you get into the cart quite a bit or no?
Yeah, it's a huge part of our, I would say 99% of our customers, we audit their cart regardless, just because it's where there's so much lift.
Right.
And so in the full reports, regardless how many pages you buy, we always fully redesign cart, empty cart, full cart, cart with items in it. And then we also redesign your navigation in full reports.
What's the biggest mistake somebody can make in their shopping cart?
Oh man, decision paralysis and clutter. That we have so many cart experiences where it's like someone's clicked on the cart to check out and the site just overwhelms them with interactions and things to do. And here's an offer, want to read more reviews, upsell, 7 different pay options. And it's just not that the consumer is stupid and they don't know to just hit checkout, but it's just a sensory overload, right? It's like if you imagine going to the checkout at Target or the grocery store, right? You're in that aisle and there's always the little upsells, right? Like pick some gum, whatever you've got.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very passive, right? They're not hitting you in the face. You don't have to get them. The way most people approach the cart experience is like they want to increase their AOV so much that they're just hitting you in the face with it. It'd be like going through that line in Target and there's actually a guy there trying to sell you the gum, like holding it in your face, like, hey, you need this gum, right? Like by the time you get to the till, you're just pissed off at Target and you just want to leave. I don't even want the blanket I was going to buy because you just pissed me off about this gum. So I think that's the biggest thing is like, obviously, yes, let's use the cart to increase AOV or build trust if we can, but like you have to find a balance. You cannot put so much stuff in there that they just get overwhelmed and again, decision paralysis.
And who is the perfect client for your organization? You noticed I didn't say agency.
I appreciate that. That's a good question. I would say the most common conversation I have at the start of a sales call is the customer has finally found their footing on ad spend. They feel like they're finding some success there. They're starting to drive more traffic and finding success in their ad spend. And now they want to optimize the website to benefit that even further. So size and spend really don't matter. It's if in your internal business, you're finding success regardless of ad spend in driving more traffic to the site, it's time to optimize the site.
And how can an interested listener learn more about working with you?
You can head to oddit.co, so oddit.co. You can follow us on Twitter. We post tons of UX insights and ideas on there. The Twitter handle is It's Oddit. You can follow me personally, Brantify, so at BRANDTIFY. If you do head to our site, we do offer free quick wins. So that 10 pack has 10 kind of sections of your site redesign. When we're talking to brands that don't quite understand how we approach things, we do a free version. So if you want to just go put your domain in the site, we send you back a 4-page report with 1 cross-section redesigned with all the rationale.
Is that done with AI?
It's all humans.
Well, this has been great. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up today?
No, I'm good. That was fun.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Andy.
For listeners, remember, if you like this episode, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave us an honest review. And if you're looking for more information on connecting with Shaun or his agency Oddit, You'll find the links in the show notes below. In addition, if you're looking for more information on growing your business, check out our podcast resource center available at podcast.makeeachclickcount.com. We have compiled all of our different past guests by show topic and included each of their contact information in case you would like more information on any of the topics I've discussed in previous episodes. Well, that's it for today. Remember to stay safe, keep healthy, and happy marketing, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.